study English. I'm very conscious that my English is bad, Mr. President, because my wife speaks brilliant English. She was educated at Cambridge, and when I speak, she's horrified. So, but it's simpler if I have some problem of translation. Well, thank you for your introductions, thank you for yours. And I tell you, I'm very pleased to be here, because I think that we have a lack of thinking in the process, in the process by now. People are not informed, in fact, curious research, and they don't see the real issues very clearly. I was at Trinity College yesterday. I saw that the arguments given by some of the people are absolutely unrealistic or out of context. So there's a real problem of thinking on the subject. When we had the convention, brilliant members, at the end we understood the problem. We had in view a concept. So I will be very brief, or as brief as I can, because I would like to have your questioning to see what you have in mind. And je salue tout le monde, les diplomates, les non-diplomates, les experts, les non-experts. So a few words. First, congratulations. Because before coming here, I read your report on Lisbon. It's an excellent book, but the tunes moderate, but the realism, by the precision, excellent document. And if the Irish people have the opportunity of reading it quite instead of looking at a football or a beer, they would probably have voted for the opposition. So, congratulations. I will not give you my view, because my views are not significant. What we did on the subject is a collective work. And you know, it's a collective process, not a person who by talent, present, or what is leading debate. It's a collective approach. We are 500 million people, so we are 50% more than the Americans. We are the largest trading group in the world. So the question is not what the opinion of a person, to see if there is collective thinking and a proposal to improve it. I just want to remind you that in this process, going to the Lisbon Treaty, to the present situation, Ireland has always been consulted. You voted on the Nice Treaty, it is now far away. In the convention, you were present by brilliant, influential members. The parliament by that time was chaired by an Irishman, Mr. Pat Cox, our convention, and the two texts, the Constitutional Treaty and the Lisbon Treaty, have been signed by the Taoiseach. The Constitutional Treaty has been, at the end, approved here. It was under the chairmanship of Mr. Ian that the work was finished. So the Irish cannot say, oh, what is, I don't know. You were associated to the process all the time. For the future of Europe, I think now the debate is more clear than it was a few years ago, because we had a long debate between federalism and sort of confederation or organization of states. And it poisoned the problem for 20 years. De Gaulle was against federalism, Jean Monnet and Schuman were pro-federalism, and De Gaulle was pro-federalism. So there was a long debate, and now it's over. Due partly to our work, because the concept is very clear. The Union is a union of member states. So please stop to have the idea of such nonsense. It's a union of member states who decides to give competence to the Union, and this competence only will be exercised on a sort of federal basis. So it's a new union of member states which is ruled by three principles. Principles of attribution. The competence are the competence that are given to the union, given by Ireland also. And I remind you of the fact that in 30 years of Irish participation, there was never an Irish veto in any text. So should associate it. Second principle, which is new, which was introduced in the Amsterdam Treaty and Maastricht Treaty, is the principle of subsidiarity. So the idea that there are several levels in the system, the top level, which is the government institution, and after the national level and the local level. And it's always better to have problems addressed by the proper level. If there are practical daylight problems, the local power. If there are sort of classical political issues like functioning of the society at the national level, and if there are large dimensions which go beyond what the national states can do by now, it's European level. But there are three levels, and the preference is to go to the proper. And the last principle is, as you know, it's called proportionality, that is not to do more than is needed. Because we have been, and you have been, and the French people, so we have been a little embarrassed by the permanent proposal approach by some of the European institutions. So the structure is clear. It is not understood, anyway, we say, well, but the structure. What are the limits of it in geography? The continental Europe continent with the islands, of course, Europe. And the problem we have now are partly due to enlargement. I must be very precise about it. Enlargement is an absolutely normal process for the countries which were under Soviet domination and were freed in the years 1919. It's normal to join. But the arrival of 10 new member countries a few years ago has created a sort of shock in the system. First, because the system was not prepared. And that is a responsibility of the leaders in the period around 1990 up to 2000. They were not able to adapt institutions. And also because the negotiation, but evaluation was not well led. It was more difficult than people thought, because what we did, you joined 30 years ago. We started it 50 years ago. We didn't do it in 10 years. It's nonsensical. So we should have worked with the countries concerned to see what would be the best process. Because this enlargement first had made the institutions not adequate and had created a sort of change in the public opinion. I was much impressed yesterday in your Trinity College audience that people were inward looking. They were not looking outside. They don't see outside. It's partly due to enlargement. it has created the idea that Europe is not now ours. So we must reconstruct this approach to the limit for the next 20 years. Actually, the Chinese would say 50 years. We'll be more moderate than the Chinese. No more enlargement. There will be probably a problem for some part of the former Yugoslavia, probably. But we need to have a very serious evaluation of the situation, which we did not for the last entries. So we have debate how to make pressure, how to cut subsidies, all that. No. So it means no more enlargement, and no enlargement outside the European continent for the time to come. In 50 years, I don't know what will happen, and but for the moment, to stabilize the system, we live with members or the very few little members which are into the system. The institutions. It's a bizarre system. A system which is a triangle, and none of the thinkers of the 18th century have imagined it. Montesquieu, Burke, all that. Something. Why is it like that? It's an idea of Jean Monnet, I guess, which was done with the times. It's because the human dimension is very specific in the debate. So when you have two institutions, a parliament and an executive, they are trying to think substance. The law, the political decisions. But in the urban system, you have this, you have your Irish life, but you have also a sort of urban approach. And this urban approach must be expressed in institutions. So we need to have three institutions, and it's a triangle. It worked on the whole rather well. Lately, there was, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, the influence went to the Commission. And the triangle became more dominated by the European Brussels institutions than by the Council. So in the text, in the concept, the Council is the final and the ultimate level, in fact. When we started the convention, you remember probably, as soon as someone said we must give this power to the Commission, people were talking about it. And at the end, we tried to stabilize the triangle. So we helped the Council to re-establish itself. Of course, what weakened the Council in part is the enlargement, because the non-reformed Council with a rotating presidency is not a very stable instrument. It cannot be. And it's unstructured when you take any institution, including the institute, where you always have some vice president, a bureau. In the Council, nothing. The rotating president, he leaves, go away, and that's what comes, and there is no structure. So we propose a stable president for a rather short term of modern democracy, to have regular meetings, probably a little more than we had. And look, it's what's happening currently. Because now they're planning to have 2 meetings in the next 2 months. So it indicates that there is a need there. So the Council, under our proposal and the Lisbon Agreement, will be an institution probably able to perform a better work. Of course, it's a consequence that is overdoing things, like always. And now the Commission is going down. And the Commission now is sort of General Secretary of the Council, which is not good, because not a real system. Look, the hierarchy of the banking, some precisions, indications, and there will be a meeting in the month of March to see that. The meeting will be the Council, and in the meantime, the texts are prepared by the Secretary of the Council, which is 5 years ago it would be the Commission that prepared the text. Now it's the Secretary of the Council. Secretary of the Council is composed of jurists. Probably here there's a majority of jurists. They are very brilliant and dangerous people. They are acute minds, but they don't make any difference between a text you can understand and a text which is good for litigation. They don't. So they prepare text for court decisions, contestation, which are impossible to read. The Lisbon Treaty was wrote by jurists. The Constitutional Treaty was written by political people. You could read it, the first part. But before I came here, I wanted to check with a few points about the Lisbon Treaty. I couldn't find the points. Not what it is. Even the definition of the system is obscure. Legally correct. So we need to give a new form to the Commission. First, by reducing its number. And there was a long debate, remember, because reducing the number means that every country will not have a commissioner, including the large countries. There will be no German commissioner, no British commissioner, no French commissioner. One only in 2 places. So there will be 27, 17 seats. So normally there will be 1 2 places. But it's absolutely necessary if you want the Commission to perform. She cannot work like this, and she will pester your life. Because all these 27 people have a staff, a lawyer, and they do something. They are seated in their office, and they should produce something. So they produce text, recommendations, or they raise questions which create antagonism or frustration in the public opinion, including yours. So I am very thankful to the people who decided that the Commission should be reduced. And look, the new members which joined us, 4 years ago, they accepted it. Or they negotiated to enter with the promise to be a commissioner. And all of them accepted it. So I guess that the question of the reorganization of the Commission is very important. I must warn you that if it's not done, what will happen? It will happen that the work will move toward the great countries. Because since the Commission can produce satisfactory decisions, the habit, which is a dangerous habit, will be to work between Germany, France, and Great Britain to see what can be done. And it is underway. You have some experience in the last month. So for, I don't know what the proper term for Ireland, it's not a small country, but a limited sized country. We are interested in having a good commission. Good commission by itself, not a commission for being a member of the commission. Because then the commission will express a European point of view. And this point of view will be debated in the parliament, in the national parliament here, And in the Council, were your Taoiseach seats. So I insist upon this because I'm a little afraid that now the trend is to weaken the Commission. And I don't think it's very positive and in the advantage of the member. The problem of the competence is a key element of the future of Europe, and it is largely ignored. Because we have two levels of competence, the national level and the European level. The European level is only through attribution. Your government can give attribution to Europe. But when you have debate, including here, including amongst informed people, they mix everything. They criticize Europe for subjects it has no competence. If you take the social policy, it's not a European competence, it is not. The working load, the social system, the protection of workers, the way to debate solve problems is not the competence of Europe. She has nothing to say. And at the same time, in a debate, well, not enough in the text about it, but it's not a European competence. And you don't want to be European competence. So the question of competence is a very important issue, and political people, and of course the public opinion, do not exactly perceive this. You have a sort of motto, slogan, which is largely used, which is nonsensical, but everyone repeats it. Europe should be closer to the citizen. No, it's impossible. Totally impossible. Europe is at the top, and Europe will address all issues, questions which are more or less international for the citizen. The government must be close to the citizen. The local parliament must be close to the citizen, but not Europe. And so we have a two-storage system in which the proximity is a competence of the states, and the large common issues is the competence of the Union. Or in the field, everything remains to be done. People don't understand competence, and it's a matter probably of generation. Education, probably university education will depend for that experience. And for the journalists, it's the same. For them, this, of course, they are working in political opinion, so there's mixed also the notion of competence. So it's a very important issue, and much must be done. The third subject of Europe is the politics of Europe. In fact, it's very interesting because the competence of Europe are very limited, as we know. 4 or 5 international trade, and now everyone accepts it. Everyone accepts it. There is a monetary policy for the country using the euro, and everyone accepts also it must be done well. There's competition, and we must, of course, including France, respect the fact that competition is a European policy. And then the question of resources of the sea, the shape of Europe, because if you look at national policy in this complicated coast, it's all. And in these fields, there is not much dispute. And when there are disputes, it's not attack, it's disagreement. In competition, people say should do it before that, they accept European ruling in the monetary union, which was well ruled for the last 18 months, better than the Federal Reserve System and better than the Bank of England. The best technical performance has been the performance of the ECB. Everyone accepted it, criticized, of course, but accept that it does it. When we have cooperation, we don't know how to handle it, in fact, because when we say this question will be addressed, for instance, education or university functioning, which is national competence, but we need cooperation. People don't understand how to handle this, in fact. And I think it needs also some preparation and training. The idea is that there is a global scheme that must be accepted at a very high level. At least the real ministers and probably the prime ministers will decide who will cooperate. And after that, it's national. So the text, the administration is national. The goals, the definition of goal is common. The administration is national. And it's not the idea that after that it becomes Europeanized. No. And the Commission has this trend. When they cooperation after that, they could go and do this, do that, they publish white paper. No. The administration of the cooperation is national. Another point is the role of the Parliament. It's probably the best functioning institution by now, I guess. I'm seated there some time ago. But it's a good institution, representative, not known enough, with a problem of visibility to the media. It's a real problem that should be addressed by the next Parliament. How to be observed, approved, criticized by the media system. But, well, it's a good institution who works well. Then, it's the highest in the system. The Council comes after, the Commission after. So, it's very important to have an election and to accept that it is a key instrument in the formation of policy. But the Parliament has this sort of natural trend, because you had it in the whole history, including yours, which is to go out of its competence. And they vote motions or texts or resolutions which are not of their competence and which create irritation or anguish into the public opinion. For instance, all your debate about the moral values or traditional values of Ireland is not linked to the competence because there was no competence in that field. No, not. It's the fear that the European institution will, by another one, interfere or intervene when they have not the right to do so. And say that the chairman of the Parliament, President of the Parliament, and the chairman of the Commission should be more active on that. When I was an MP in the European Member of Parliament, never we have proposals, we are obviously not in the competence of the Union. Never any president said, please stop. You are a member of the European Parliament, you have no competence to debate this, you can do this elsewhere, or by article, but you must not use the European instrument. And so the demands of Ireland that some parts of the competence will be better protected. It's not legal, it's not a question of it's a political approach to avoid an intrusion into the real competence of the Union. And I guess on this point, the Irish people will have all the guarantees they need. For instance, the risk that the European Court of Justice transgresses the competence is not existing. It's impossible, technically impossible. But it must clearly be stated, and I understand your wish that things is. no one wants to make us. And when you look at the text that we do, the only change, because the veto remains the exception, the Helsinki test, the only change is the special, qualified, specialized cooperation for defense, which is on a voluntary basis, and a very strong voluntary basis, because we think it will concern a few countries. Because there will be a demand for the level of defense spending, and not many of the countries with a high level of defense spending. In fact, commitments increase spending, and so many people support commitment. And in fact, it means that it will be limited to probably 6, 7 or 8 countries. And there will be no pressure to call for the others, because it will complicate the system, and then we introduce a sort of a negative perception. So look at the text. The text was debated in the convention, and it's very restrictive, and no one thought that our future will ever join with specialized, enforced, enhanced cooperation. So I will end before your questioning by how Europe will be perceived in the world. For the moment, the perception is vague. People know something exists. The American leaders don't pay much attention to it. For instance, the new president, a brilliant man, never mentioned Europe in any of his speeches. In the election campaign. So it's not well known in the world. But it is also accepted. People know it, that will happen. It's on the way. And what we should have in mind is to have a political structure on the European continent, an entity, which is, as I said, an entity composed of national identities. And this entity will be well received because it's one, I wouldn't say the only, but one who has no more imperialism. When you take the story of the UK, the story of France, Spain, the story of Germany, but we were imperialists, strongly imperialists, in fact. It's finished. It's over. There is no more imperialism. We have no military imperialism, no expansionist imperialism. We respect international law, basically, more than the others. Sometimes we accept it. And we are strongly for peace. And we think that war is not anymore an instrument of a solution of problems. So there are peculiar features of the European entity which are, I think, evaluable. And we must respect our values, practice our values, but not trying to export them. It's a little irritating. You have people saying we try to impose our values to the other. No. We don't know what the values of the future of the world will be, in fact. Because there will be a new organization, a very large population in India, in China, probably other aspiration than ours, because the culture, the religion, the tradition in the Islamic world are different. So what we will do is to have our values very clearly, to protect them, to explain them, but not trying to impose.